Please. You were saying...
Oh, you gotta give him that hawk too and spit on that thing. You get me?
You know, I really don't remember you being this opinionated.
It does seem like there's a lot of this going on. And I want to switch arenas here to Hollywood, although it's kind of indistinguishable at this point, politics and Hollywood. But the Rachel Zegler activity with this Snow White movie has been so insufferable and so narcissistic and so detached from reality. She's now bragging about the success of Snow White, which is a movie that's going to lose hundreds of millions of dollars. And mainly because of her and because nobody wanted to support her. She did on camera say that members of Trump's movement and anyone who disagrees with her doesn't have to go show up and give her any more money. And I guess people followed suit. There are empty theaters all around the country. We are now at a 1 out of 10 on IMDb for the new Snow White. And it couldn't happen to a better person. What is the lesson to be learned here with this Snow White disaster?
Yeah, we had more dwarfs than we did viewers in most of these theaters. And as you know, there were no dwarfs other than some CGI weird generated version of them. It's the old, it truly is go woke, go broke, but also don't alienate half of the country when you're putting out a product meant to appeal to all. It's the Michael Jordan Republicans buy sneakers too. And she didn't just come out. It would have been bad enough if she had just come out and said, please, please, please vote for Kamala Harris. Trump is dangerous. That's not smart when you're headlining a film like this that's meant to have mass appeal. Republicans have children too. That's not smart. But she went so much further than that, right? She said she hopes that neither Trump nor any of his supporters ever know peace. She told Trump and all of his supporters to F off. She was out there lecturing us on how we needed to vote for Kamala Harris or we could unfollow her. There's tape of her saying, for every one of the 18 hours I am in the Snow White dress, I expect to get paid. If it's 18 hours, I want 18 hours of pay. I'm sure she got underpaid as a Disney lead actress or as a Steven Spielberg lead actress in West Side Story. Boo effing who? People have real problems and no one gives a shit if she got paid for 17 instead of 18 on her multi-million-dollar salary, which is not calculated by the hour. So she just encapsulates everything that most of us cannot stand about modern day feminism and the left in general. And Hollywood, they hate the right. They hate Trump. It's not enough to dislike the candidate. You have to hate him and hate his supporters. This weird feminist thing where her heroine cannot be in love or be saved by a man, the prince, that she's more focused on becoming the leader she was meant to be, as if women in modern day America must make that choice. You cannot both be a leader as a female and fall in love and be rescued by a prince. Like, that's incongruous bullshit. That's only the left's version of what it means to be a strong woman or female empowerment. So, I mean, this woman has clicked every box. And just for cherry on top at the end, she gave an interview last week talking about how they were basically a bunch of white supremacists on the set of West Side Story, where Steven Spielberg and co. were demanding that she prove how Latina she really is, since her name doesn't sound Latina. And she was angrily saying, did I have to bring in my little abuelita for you to believe that I was Latina? That's her thanks to Steven Spielberg, who discovered her and made her. So she's an ingrate, she's annoying, and I think she's probably two and done.
Do you think your career's over after this?
I do.
And it's been poison. And
Yeah,
it's been
she's knocked
so
off as poison.
poisonous. And if she hadn't have opened her mouth, I think that this movie might have done well. They might have just been able to ride on the hopium of the movie and some well-cut trailers, and people would have paid to go see it. And then it would have fallen off when people knew it was garbage. But Rachel Zegler made it so hateable that you really sabotaged and took hundreds of millions of dollars from the studio. I don't know how anyone would ever want to go into business with her ever again.
I mean, do you know like how hard it is to find an attractive young woman in Hollywood who can act and sing? It's not hard. Like, who just isn't going to offend half the country. There'll be 25,000 more just like her knocking on the same doors that she had open to her. She had the opportunity of a lifetime. And instead of being humble and grateful, she was entitled and a snot. And I will look forward to her not getting cast in any more movies for a long time until she actually does learn something about humanity and humility.
Yeah, I don't think that anybody, especially parents of young girls, my girls dress up as Disney princesses for free all day long,
right.
And they don't bitch and complain and snivel ungratefully. They're very happy to do it, and so that clip really told everybody what they needed to know about who Rachel Zegler was. Why would you ever give her your IP?
It's like I remember being sort of young and at Fox News, and there it was kind of similar in that there were a lot of people who would have loved to have the job that I had, even as a starting reporter working for Roger Ailes. And I knew it, and every opportunity he gave me, it was like, when I started there, it was, you'll be working the 5 a.m. weekend shift. And what did I say? Thank you. Thank you so much. I hope I do well. I can't get over the sense of entitlement and to show up, to criticize the bosses, to suggest that they're white supremacists, to demand more money like you're not getting paid adequately, to rip on the plot that you've been asked to embody as the actress. Like she's just one big ball of entitlement, which is what we all hate about the front edge of Gen Z. The back edge of Gen Z is going to save us all. Those people are great. I'm raising 3 of them right now, and they're just not like this isn't even the same species as we just saw on this television. But it's because of her that my kids and this next generation are winding up so normal and more conservative and rejecting everything that has to do with identity politics.
Yes, we're very thankful for your time at Fox News, because you asked President Trump his first question ever from a debate stage, and he brought up Rosie O'Donnell, who's now fled the country, and now we've come full circle. You're speaking at President Trump's inauguration, and Rosie O'Donnell's fled. So we have the singularity has completed, and time is a flat circle.
With the
you
world.
were right.
Poor
After
Ireland,
all
by
these
the way.
years.
What did they do to deserve her? That's just, I know they're having troubles, but really, is it that bad? I just feel like the Irish have suffered enough over the course of history. They don't need Rosie O'Donnell. Can I tell you something about Rosie O'Donnell? She's so annoying. So I asked that question of President Trump, and he had that great answer. Everybody laughed. And when I wrote my book a year or so later, I never would have asked Trump that question if it had only been Rosie O'Donnell who'd said those things about, because she is so hateful and gross, and she gave just as good as she got, so I realized even then that she was not an appropriate solo character to base a question on. So whatever, it's just a perfunctory, behind the scenes explanation of part of the question. She wrote me the nastiest note. She was so offended that Trump's comments about her weren't enough to justify. I'm like, bitch, be quiet and just be glad that anything he said about you made it into the question at all. Like, who do you think you are to be second guessing my debate question? Like, give me a break. And now she's out there. She fled to Ireland after weeks of talking in these updated social media videos about her cold sore and giving people a close-up look at her disgusting cold sore, which happens to be attached to her disgusting face. A good riddance. I wish it weren't my people, the Irish, who wound up with her, but better them than us.
Here's the actual video. We have it in the queue. You talked about how Congress is less popular than herpes. So what does that make the herpes on Rosie O'Donnell's ugly face? And she is openly talking about how she's giving people herpes. She's showing people, how does Ireland allow her to immigrate? She's clearly contagious here.
Right. Doesn't this need to be disclosed on your immigration forms, right? Like in the same way that Mahmoud Khalil forgot to mention that he worked for UNRWA, and now the Trump administration is saying, you're out based on that alone, buddy. Can't she be ejected from Ireland for bringing in communicable diseases? God only knows. That's probably just the tip of the iceberg with this one. Not suggesting she has more communicable diseases, just a joke.
I didn't know she wrote you. So she's that thin-skinned. Again, it's like Jasmine Crockett lashing out at the reporter. Try being a Republican for a day of your life.
Yes.
You would melt. You lash at one reporter asks you a question, and you lash out. Try being a Republican. They're so thin-skinned, these people. It really is remarkable. How do they survive?
we were listening to the New York Times' The Daily podcast this morning, and it's well worth your time if you want to go back and devote some time to this, because you won't believe how concerned they are over the New York Times that Trump has got this whole avenue of journalists and performers, entertainers, and podcasters who will talk to him. So he can do a total end around us, the truth tellers, the journalists who hold him to account. Okay, first of all, like, none of that is true. Trump talks to the mainstream media more than any president in modern American history. They have not been sidelined. He's not doing presidential news conferences in front of Theo Vaughn at all. He's doing it with NBC and the New York Times and all of them, right? So they don't actually have the problem they say they do, but just the horror for these guys that, like, he now has an entire ecosystem that likes him, that will go like promote his message. This is the New York Times, totally freaking clueless that that's exactly what they and their brethren have been doing for every Democrat from the dawn of time, right? Like, what would it be like if there were an entire media ecosystem designed just to run cover for one party, right? That's not what digital media is for Trump, but that is what they are for Democrats. And they're losing their minds that they don't have this complete monopoly on information anymore.